Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. I'm back for my regular live videos. Every Tuesday at 8 a.m. I do a video on this page, and later in the week I do one on Instagram, usually Thursday or Friday or Saturday, depending on if a pet holiday falls on a certain day. There's also a post that just launched on this page that I'm doing an Instagram challenge for the month of April plus 3 more days just to get a nice number. So keep an eye out for that starting tomorrow. But today I want to talk about cribbing. And for those who don't know what that is, it's a horse typical behavior. They call it an equine oral stereotypical behavior. It's also called wind sucking, which is when they're not attached to an object, and cribbing or crib biting when they are attached to an object. And I'm going to explain what that means. But it's a form of obsessive behavior, and it can be a way for the horse to expel excess energy, but typically it's a repetitive, unwavering behavior that ceases to obtain a goal and lacks a function. So they're doing it just because they don't really have a purpose for doing it. It doesn't achieve anything. But most of you that know horses know that quite a few of them exhibit cribbing, because if you own a barn especially, or work or ride at a barn, you'll know that they like to chew at the edges of their stalls sometimes, and you end up having to replace them. But basically what they do, and there is a photo of a horse mouth on my website if you're curious about the teeth layout compared to canines or felines. But basically they grasp the edge of the thing, usually it's the edge of a stall, with their incisor teeth, arch their neck, and then contract the muscles in their neck, which makes a specific sound. It retracts their larynx because their lower neck muscles are kind of squeezing in, and the noise that comes out is because there's a rush of air into the esophagus, and eventually the wind returns to the pharynx, but they usually do it repeatedly over and over and over. And I've actually worked on horses that exhibit issues with the top of their front legs because they've done this behavior so many times that the muscle that comes down here, actually for them at least, runs down the front part of their arm or their foreleg. So they can exhibit a lot of muscular issues if they do exhibit this behavior. There are a lot of factors that go into why a horse would exhibit cribbing. The first is obviously stress. So if the animal spends a lot of time in their stall, they don't get enough exercise, or it's just a habit that they've learned from wherever, if you rescue them from wherever home they were at before. It's also especially common in race horses and sporting horses that are kept in stalls for longer periods of time. It can also be a stable management issue. So if they're not turned out on time, or if they're spending inordinate amount of time in their stall, they're more likely to exhibit this behavior. It can also be a genetic condition, which I find really interesting because it's highest in thoroughbreds, mostly because they're the breed most typically used for racing. So in thoroughbreds, you can actually trace cribbing behavior through genetics, which is really cool. Not great, but from a biology perspective, that's really interesting. They also do it occasionally if they're having gastrointestinal irritation. So for example, if they have a stomach ulcer, sometimes it relieves some of the tension because it removes a tiny bit of the acid up their throat when they're doing this, which is obviously really bad for their throat, but it does ease their stomach ulcer. So if you're noticing that your horse does this a lot and has a lot of digestive issues, maybe a good idea to go get them checked. Most people who work with horses have seen a horse that cribs or seen the stall of a horse that cribs, but it actually occurs in 2.4 to 8.3% of horses, which is quite high. But if they're left in their stall for a long period of time, cribbing can take up 15 to 65% of their daily time. So if they're stuck in there majority of the day, if they're a school horse, they will end up doing it most of the day. And it can be really, really bad for their teeth, along with their muscles. Their mental state is obviously not where you'd like it to be. So making sure that they get out, even just for a little walk around, is really important. It's also more common in geldings, which is a male horse that has, they can't have, I was going to say unneutered, but that's dog terms, that can't have babies, and stallions over mares. But what's interesting is that from all the horses that I've seen the crib, it's always a mare, which is interesting, but I guess a lot of the farms that I see are usually more mares than stallions and geldings, which is interesting. It's also kind of an endorphin releasing behavior for them. So the same way that we have obsessive behaviors that could release endorphins for us, the reason that they repeat it, and when I was describing obsessive behaviors, I did say that it ceased to obtain a goal and lacks a function. But the same way that us scratching a dog's ears releases endorphins, for them, cribbing releases endorphins. It's also related to the frequency of colics. So the more that the horse cribs, the more likely they're going to have colic in their lifetime. And if they get it once, they're definitely more likely to get it again, which is really unfortunate. So if you want to help your horse that cribs a lot, beyond getting them more exercise and getting their teeth checked, if they've been doing it for a long period of time, you want to make sure their diet is high in antacids, because that will ease the tension and decrease the behavior. You can do this by increasing the roughage in their diet and decreasing the concentrates. So they're really like if you get the, not pills, but like pill-shaped roughage or cubes of different types of food, the roughage is better for them than the concentrates, especially when it comes to stomach ulcers and obsessive behaviors. But basically you want high in fiber diet and lower in fat diet. But that's the basis of cribbing. If you've never seen it before, feel free to Google a video. It's pretty, I think it's not normal, but I'm used to seeing it. So for me, it's not like, oh my gosh, what are they doing? But if you've never seen it before, it's definitely something interesting to watch. You can find a 5-second video somewhere. But that's all I have to say about cribbing. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. And tomorrow is April, thank goodness. But the weather is getting warmer, and hopefully this isolation will be over soon, because the weather's going to be nice and everyone's going to want to go outside. If you didn't see my post this morning about the Instagram challenge that I'm doing for April, you should go check it out. It's going to be fun, which means I'll see you tomorrow and every day for the next 33 days on Instagram. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, it's the same at Birch Animal Wellness. Hop on over there, give me a follow, and then you can watch all the videos. I also do a live video there every Friday or Saturday as well. Some more information for you. They're usually educational based content. But I hope you have a fabulous rest of your week, and I will see you tomorrow for the first video. Not an April Fool's prank, by the way. Have a great day, guys.